Today, I'm going to give you my 3 keys for painting skies that helped me go from this painting to this painting. One of the biggest ways that we can elevate our paintings, make them even stronger, even more compelling, is to improve in how we paint skies. Today, I'm going to share with you my top 3 keys for painting skies. And we're also going to take a look at this sky here, and I'm going to show you how I painted it. And this is a scene from France. I was teaching retreat here, and I just took a picture out of the train, and I happened to capture this beautiful scene. After I lay in my drawing, then I wet down the back and the front of the paper. The reason I do this is to keep the paper wet longer, to give me more time to paint wet into wet. And that is key number 1. Try to paint your skies wet into wet. The sky has to sit further back in the painting. If we have a lot of hard edges and texture in the sky, we automatically lose that feeling of depth. The sky now feels a lot closer to us instead of sitting further back and way off in the distance. But that creates its own challenges. When we're painting wet into wet, it's hard to have defined edges. And in this sky here, I want to show the defined edge of some of the clouds. Let me show you how I do that. I wet down both sides, and if you're not comfortable with painting with the paper sitting loose on your surface, you can just tape your paper down and wet down the front. And now it's time to start painting the sky. Now, when we're painting skies, we want to approach them like we do any other subject. We want to think through the values of the sky. The lights, the middle values, and the darks. Now, your skies aren't always going to have that complete range of values, but it's helpful to look at them in that way and build them up in layers. So the first thing I'm doing here is laying in really light, warm tone for the clouds. Most of the time, I don't leave the clouds just the white of the paper. I like to tone them a little bit with a little bit of raw sienna and lavender. That's my combination to create a warm tone that isn't too vibrant, but it can add some nice warmth into the clouds. So that's the first thing I do. After I wet the paper down, I'm dropping in really light, warm values, and then I can start to build up the strength of the clouds. But I want to do this slowly and not just rush into really dark values. We want to take our time, lay in the lights, and then work from there. So here, you can see I've laid in some light values here, some light warm values. Then I can see the bottom of the cloud needs some more form. So I'm dropping that in while the paper is nice and damp. So I'm slowly building up the value. And let me walk you through the colors that I've used so far. Up to this point, I've used raw sienna and lavender for the lightest values of the clouds. Then as I build up more strength, I will add more lavender into the mix and some cobalt blue. And when I need to get the strongest value, I'll use some neutral tint as well. But this right here is the building block of the sky with all of these clouds. I have some warmer areas, some cooler areas, and I'm letting all of these values just softly sit on a paper. So right now, these are all soft edges minus this one here. The paper's starting to dry a little bit here. And I'm going to show you here in a minute how I'm able to get a hard edge on this cloud even though the paper is all damp. But first, I want to bring you to key number 2, and this is an important one. When you're painting skies and you're looking at a reference photo, don't try to paint everything you see in the reference photo. Don't try to paint the sky exactly as you see it. If we are doing that, we are getting completely locked into way too much detail. I don't want to add too much information to make it compete with the rest of the painting. It's still just the sky. It's a background, right? And so the more information I have, the more contrast, the more hard edges, the more attention that is going to go to the sky. So we want to find that balance between creating an impression of what you see and putting in too much detail. One way to do this is to squint at your reference photo. Squinting is a great way to eliminate some of the detail. You can see more of the large shapes and more of the pattern of light and dark. And that is what I'm trying to recreate here on the paper. Okay, so I've laid in a lot of light values. I'm still slowly working up the strength in the sky. And I'm going to skim forward a little bit here. And I want you to see what I do here. I take a paper towel and I push down on that area where I want a hard edge. So the whole paper is damp. It's starting to dry here in the corner, but it's still damp here. And where you want that defined edge, you can use a paper towel, you can dry it just a little bit, and then watch when I paint this. Now I can get that hard defined edge and let the rest of the sky be very soft. But by pushing down and drying part of that, now I can create a crisp edge. Now I wouldn't want hard edges all over the sky, but by having this right here, it gives the sky a good focal area, right? So I line this up kind of in this upper left third of the scene, a prominent area of the composition. Now compare this hard edge to even this one, right? That's not a completely lost edge, it's still soft, but this one, this cloud that is more of the focus, that is closer to us, now has that sharp, defined edge. When you glance at the sky, it's going to go right here to this hard edge. Everywhere else, it's just complementing what is happening right here. Now I've laid in the lights, some of the blue of the sky. I still need to paint the shadow, the underside of the cloud. That is going to give the cloud a lot more form, and it's going to help the sky look more like it does in the reference photo and complete that impression. This paper is still damp. It's not sopping wet, it's damp. And I still have time to come up here and use some neutral tint, some cobalt blue, and drop in a little more value for the clouds. And you can see the clouds become much more dynamic when we can add that shadow on the bottom to give it a little bit of form. It completes the impression to paint the underside of the cloud. A lot of times in students' work, I just see white cloud, blue sky behind it. But clouds are so much more complex, so much more interesting than that, and we want to paint them that way too. The other thing is, look how many of these clouds overlap with each other. You know, they're not just separate little pieces spread out around the scene. These clouds that are overlapping, they're merging together. And with just a few dots of blue in some of these areas, the illusion really comes to life. That is a look at the sky, and this is what it looked like in the final painting. This brings me to key number 3. I saw the biggest growth in painting skies when I took some time to practice that specifically. I didn't wait until I wanted to paint a complete painting to practice skies. I would set aside 10, 20 minutes a day to pull up a reference, paint a quick sky, paint some clouds, paint a sunset. The more that you do this, the faster you are going to get better at this. Don't wait till you need a strong, compelling sky in your painting to try to paint one, right? We want to practice these things on the side from doing complete paintings. So those are my 3 keys to painting strong, compelling skies in your scene. If you're curious about the way that I paint and you want to know more, check out this free resource. Have you ever been really excited about a painting and you get all set up, you find that right reference that you're excited about, and then it's time to go and you feel lost? I have a free resource that I want to give to you today that can help with these problems. My 5 steps to plan a successful watercolor painting. I walk you through the crucial planning phase of your painting that will help you understand what you're going to paint first, second, and third. The planning is really so important, especially in watercolor. This medium is harder to correct. It's so immediate. So having that plan is very important. I send you a PDF that you can download. And the great thing about this is you can have it on your phone. You could print it out. You can download this right now before you start your next painting. All you have to do is follow this link here and download my 5-step guide to planning a successful watercolor painting.